any less valuable than heterosexuality. It's just different. And let's be honest, if everyone was heterosexual, the world would probably be pretty boring. Because if everyone likes the same thing, it would get boring. That's why the world has variety. That's why people are different, why we have different colors of skin, pigment, why different groups of people and like different food, variety. Variety is a good thing, as long as people don't teach that one group is superior to another. It sounds pretty Hitler when you put it like that. Anybody who teaches that one group of sexual orientation is better, biblical, superior, morally relevant, this is what we call the racism and elitist of orientation. Just because something has more members than something else doesn't make it primary. It just makes it the majority. And if we teach kids in our own homes that every orientation is equal with differences that are vital to our society, instead of teaching that there's one way to be married, one way to do marriage, one way that every gender role must function, what you're doing is you're losing out. Because the requirements force people who have unique gifts into roles they may or may not be qualified or able to fill. And that's a lot of pressure on people who may or may not want to fulfill a possibly toxic, very old way of doing things. And most of these biblical roles and biblical marriage haven't been around very long. Nowhere in the Bible does it say that marriage must look like one thing. You look at every patriarch in the Old Testament. Not one marriage looked like any other. They're unique. We need to stop making monogamy and exclusivity idols in fundamentalist churches. A relationship doesn't have more value because they only have one exclusive sexual partner. A relationship has value when everything is legal, there's enthusiastic consent, people know what's expected or what they want, and no one gets hurt because they openly and effectively communicate. Polyamory can be just as valuable and should be as valuable as monogamy. Someone isn't more holy and the relationship and marriage isn't more valuable because their relationship is monogamous. Some of the most loyal, loving relationships I have ever witnessed were between polyamorous or open marriage partners. Commitment doesn't have to be exclusive monogamy. That's just one valuable view or expectation. The problem with the difference between expectation and requirement is just knowing what you want and then or forcing it on someone. There's a lot of social stigma when people aren't monogamous, heterosexual, or traditional. You ever wondered why when you see a wedding ad, there's usually only heterosexual people in a monogamous relationship? Because that's what a wedding ring and a wedding symbolizes, exclusivity. If polyamory was the mainstream majority, very few people would probably get married because I would say a good majority of marriages, people believe in the lie that Christian fundamentalist teaches that the only legitimate sexual instrument that you can morally use is your spouse. If people believed that as long as it's legal and consensual and is good for the relationship, you could be with anyone, like polyamory, I think our marriage statistics would drop. It's because people believe in an archaic, sexist view of marriage. There's nothing wrong with marriage. As long as nobody expects you to get married, you don't expect yourself to get married, and you don't have to be in a certain role. You don't have to marry a certain person. I mean, you don't have to do anything. If you take a lot of Asian nations, half of them aren't having kids. A good quarter of them aren't getting married. As long as you do what you want because you want to do it and not because there is any pressure, expectation, or consequences, enjoy your life. So when you look at American church positions on same-sex marriage, Roman Catholic, about 62 million churches or groups of the Roman Catholic Church believe in the heteronormative lifestyle. Non-denominational churches, about 21 million, it varies. Some support, some do not. Southern Baptist Convention, almost 18 million people. Heteronormative exclusivity. United Methodist Church. I'm sorry, I'm only laughing because the top 3 have the highest child sex abuse. I find that ironic. Ambiguity, heteronormative. So Roman Catholic, Southern Baptist, and United Methodist, the 3 groups that have the highest CSA and SA, teach that heteronormative values are the only legitimate biblical source of biblical happiness, biblical sexuality, biblical family. The Mormons, the Church of Jesus Christ and Latter-day Saints, 6.7 million people, heteronormative is how they lean. Muslim estimate, 4.4 million, largely heteronormative. That's not really a surprise. Evangelical Lutheran Church in America, 3.1 million, ambiguity, mostly heteronormative. Assemblies of God, 3.1 million, heteronormative. Jehovah's Witness, 3 million, heteronormative. National Missionary Baptist Convention of America, 2.4 million, heteronormative. Lutheran Church, also known as LCMS, 1.8 million, they teach heteronormative. Episcopal Church, 1.6 million, non-heteronormative. That's surprising. National Baptist Convention, they're the people, they've been in the news lately. 1.6 million, they teach heteronormative. Presbyterian Church, 1.5 million, non-heteronormative. That's surprising. Churches of Christ, 1.42 million, heteronormative. Christian churches and churches of Christ, 1.38 million, varies. Seventh-day Adventist, 1.33 million, heteronormative. That's not surprising. American Baptist churches in the U.S., 1.26 million, ambiguity, but a lot of heteronormity. African Methodist Episcopal Church, 1.06 million, heteronormative. Most Christian denominations, I would say 8 out of 10, affirm traditional marriage. Where there is exclusive heteronormative marriage held beliefs by members in authority, such as the constitution of a church and its rules, that's where you'll find the most CSA and SA. It's not a surprise that the Roman Catholic Church, the Baptist Church, or the United Methodist Church were the highest CSA and SA for children and vulnerable women are in churches that teach the heteronormative biblical values. Any group that focuses and only speaks positively about heteronormative marriage and heteronormative lifestyle with family, I believe is a place you'll find the most CSA and SA in any church. Any group that worships and teaches the view of exclusive heterosexuality and anything else is wrong. You will find rampant sexism, misogyny, racism, queerphobia, places that teach heterosexual traditional marriage, family values is a thinly cloaked lie. It's covering racism, white supremacy, basically the largest majority religious groups and institutions that support traditional values, traditional marriage, family. Look closely at who they support.